At the same time, we have great partnerships with the Department of Labor and other groups who do offer training. So whenever possible, our officers are placing people in those programs and making those referrals. We did a few years ago pass on to Department of Labor some of our participation data so that we could run those numbers. And unfortunately, I don't off the top of my head know what those numbers were. I could certainly look into that and get back to you and let you know. But we were curious as well, the people who complete training on the inside, how many of them ended up getting a job in that same industry post-release. And I do remember from the data that we saw, most of the people who got trained in a certain job industry actually ended up being employed in a different industry. So that was interesting to us. So if you completed a construction course, let's say, they might end up working in culinary or vice versa. It didn't always translate into a job in the sector that they had completed a course in. So that was something interesting that we took note of. So we do see a lot of job transiency among our population, which is difficult, and often right out of the gate when they come out, they're just looking for anything that can quickly pay. So jobs like being a flagger on a construction site or something like that, we're often able to sort of get people placed quickly, but the goal really is that long-term sustainable employment where they can earn a livable wage, not just the quick job right out of the gate. But unfortunately, I don't know what the answer to that is. How many people are employed? That would require a fairly massive partnership with Department of Labor to be able to cross-list our populations and look at that.
I understand that. Again, perhaps I do have a different perspective of things, but I'm sort of shaking my head up here. If the one thing that prevents recidivism most of all is someone having a job, then why wouldn't you ladies and the people you work with have a job placement program?
So jobs are very important. It's actually not the most predictive of return to prison. So that's actually not what the research suggests, but it is important. So, when we look at what's actually most predictive of people returning to the system, it's actually cognitive thinking patterns and where they are mentally. That's really the most predictive thing. Jobs is also important, but when we look at actually the factors that lead people to prison, even our local Delaware data, lack of a job is actually not the #1 driver.
Oh, well, that's sort of inconsistent with the data. In fact, Senator Cory Booker ran a great program with the Manhattan Institute in the city of Newark, and it showed exactly that, job prevent recidivism. So please go back and check some of that data, and maybe you can refine some of that. Hey, with that, like I said, I know it's getting late. Is there anybody from the public that would like to say something real quick? Okay, talk fast then, please. Come on up here. Please introduce yourself.
So, the Marque Hall, returning citizen. I've been out of jail for a while now. I was actually arrested by these same Wilmington police this same month, a year ago, 2008, for protesting, and I was threatened just now with arrest by the police chief. He turned around and looked at me and flanked me with 2 officers to make sure that I wouldn't get out of hand, I guess. But I'm grateful for freedom. I'm grateful for being here. I'm grateful to be able to use my voice to try to advocate for what is right. And what I said to the police chief was that, my voice isn't a weapon. I'm not threatening you with my voice, with what it is that is wrong. And I want you to know that I'm not threatening you right now either, before I ask you these questions. Okay. So when are you call them inmates or the offenders, when are those men coming back home to their family, the ones that are in Pennsylvania? When are they coming back to their families?
I can't give you an exact date because I honestly don't know. We are looking at some of the factors that need to be stabilized in order for that to happen, and our commissioner is pushing for it. So that's really the best that I can tell you right now. I don't have a date in mind, and I'm not sure when one will be announced. So
it's not something that's important to you guys. You said stay tuned. It's not something that's important to you guys to get those men back connected with their families.
I can tell you I don't work for the Bureau of Prisons, and the BOP and our commissioner would be the groups making that decision. So I don't have any updates for you at this time. Sorry.
Okay. What you said about you guys aren't a job placement site. That's what you said. Don't you think that it would be a good thing for your programs that you bring in maybe to be job placement sites, or at least to be something that would facilitate some kind of training, some kind of skills, some kind of help for people, not only jobs but education, that soft skill training?
Yes, sir,
CBE.
and that's why we do offer that. So we do partner with groups that come in and provide those services because we do recognize it's very important.
So since I sat with you last year, what programs have you guys brought in that offers that kind of training?
So we're partnering with Department of Labor to equip our staff to be able to do workshops on employment issues, things like bonding and the work opportunity tax credit and things of that nature to help people get employed. We're also partnering with Department of Labor on NCCER certification so people can get a certificate for apprenticeship to earn a sustainable wage upon release. So those are just a couple examples of programs that we're bringing in.
So you guys partnering with the state is new?
Partnering to get people apprenticeships and NCCER certified is a new initiative, yes.
Okay. This
Mr. Hall.
one more question.
Yeah, one more question. Thank you.
With the closing down of RVRC, the homeless shelter here in Wilmington, have you guys noticed an increase in people being arrested? I saw the decline that you showed. I don't know how much of that has to do with the prisoners that you guys took to Pennsylvania, but how you said they're not sleeping on the, because when I was there in 2007, 2008, people were sleeping on the ground, and they had more than one prisoner in solitary confinement. Cells that were made for one person, they put two people in. And you said when you doubled back on what you said early, and you said that you guys have a problem with housing for different things. So you kind of just you spoke out of both sides of your mouth. Is it a situation where you guys have more people now, specifically people that are homeless, getting locked up?
Well, I can't speak to homeless status when people come in or whether RVRC's closure has contributed to people coming in. What I actually said about this space is that while the prison population has declined in terms of people, the availability of classroom space and program space is limited. So those are two different things. And the time period that you're referring to when you were incarcerated was actually our peak time of it being crowded. So you're absolutely right, and that's what the data shows as well. So I'm not sure what else I can say to that other than to confirm your experience and also to clarify we're talking about two different things: space like classrooms and program space versus the number of people who are in a facility double, triple bunking, people sleeping on floors, people sleeping on a gymnasium floor. We're not seeing that anymore, but that's not the same as having a classroom to teach a course. So hope that helps to clarify.
Figuring out ways to get people home and to utilize those areas like gyms and classrooms to do alternative things that'll get people's minds working right and to relieve stress and to get people acting like people again is the best thing that you guys can do for people that are locked up.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
And a job, job placement. You guys did act like a job placement facility. That'd be a good thing. I'm grateful for my job. You guys have a good evening.
Want to do one more item or push?
Here, now they don't wait it.
They're here, yeah, they wait that long.
Yeah, we can.
Let's have that.
You gotta be good.
Maribel will lead us straight. Always think that.
Nobody's here to hear about our program.